And now we come to the great man himself, a man history records as being instrumental in the creation of America's public education system. Horace Mann was an American educator who served as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, part of the American Congress. Horace Mann was the key reformer of the education system at the time. In 1837, he became the head of the newly created Board of Education in Massachusetts, where he began the work that would eventually earn him the title as the Father of American Public Education. After reading through the educational models of different countries, Mann finally hears about a particularly successful style that had been developed in Prussia, which is now modern-day Germany. The Prussian system had shown to be such a success for the government's purposes that, accompanied by a few other educators, Horace Mann travels to Germany to investigate. Upon their return to the United States, they lobbied heavily to have the Prussian model adopted.
All in favor, say aye.
Interest in Prussia had also been growing in the northern half of the continent. Around this time, the Canadian Superintendent of Schools, Egerton Ryerson, traveled to Prussia in search of a new model of education. His journeys also included visiting Horace Mann in Massachusetts to further examine the system he would eventually adopt. George Brown, the editor of Toronto's Globe newspaper, was even quoted saying that Ryerson had successfully imported Prussian education into Ontario. During the next 30 years or so, a whole line of American dignitaries came to Germany to earn degrees. Interestingly enough, those who earned degrees in Germany came back to the United States to staff all the major universities. By 1900, all the PhDs in the United States were trained in Prussia. As the first secretary of the State Board of Education, Horace Mann promoted his new concept that the state is the father of children. He stressed that it was the responsibility of the state to ensure that education was provided for the child. A very noble idea, of course, but what exactly did he mean by that? And how did he define education? It seems like a very broad subject. It is a very broad subject. Education encompasses all of human history and all the knowledge we have gathered during that time. Not to mention, and perhaps most importantly, what we as human beings learn over our lifetime on a personal level. Horace Mann's 10th annual report in 1846 led to the first state law that made it mandatory for children to go to school. It was during that year that he supported the governor of Massachusetts in adopting the Prussian model of education for the entire state. How did he do that? The governor of the time, Edward Everett, as it turns out, was the very first to receive a PhD from, can you guess where? That's right, Prussia. From then on, it spread very quickly. Just after Everett installed the Prussian model in the state of Massachusetts, the governor of New York set up the very same method in 12 New York schools. Horace Mann's sister, Elizabeth Peabody, of the Peabody Foundation, saw to it that right after the Civil War, the Prussian system that was then being taught in the northern states was integrated into the conquered South. By 1900, most of the compulsory schooling laws that implemented the new system had been passed. From then on, every American child grew up under the Prussian system. So what exactly was the Prussian education system that everyone thought was so amazing that it just had to be adopted throughout the free world? To give you just a bit of background, in the 18th century, the Kingdom of Prussia, which is now modern-day Germany, was among the first countries of the world to introduce free and compulsory education. After the Prussians were defeated by Napoleon in 1806, it was decided that the reason why the battle was lost was that the Prussian soldiers were thinking for themselves in the battlefield instead of following orders. To make sure that this couldn't happen again, a new 8-year system of schooling was created. This new system provided not only the skills needed for the early industrialized world, such as reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also a strict education that taught duty, discipline, respect for authority, and the ability to follow orders. Elite children destined for higher offices went on to attend private schools, while the rest of the population had no access to the secondary education. They were destined for the working class. Through this new system, the Prussian court tried to create social obedience in the citizens through indoctrination. Every individual had to become convinced at the core of their being that the king was just, his decisions were always right, and the need for obedience paramount. In truth, the entire purpose of the system was to instill loyalty to the crown and to train young men for the military and bureaucracy. To do this, it was necessary to squeeze out all independent thinking from the masses. Influencing this new system from the beginning was Prussian philosopher Johann Gottlieb Fichte. Combining John Locke's view that the children are a blank slate and Rousseau's ideas on how to write on that slate, Prussia established an educational system that was considered scientific in nature. An important part of the Prussian system was that it defined for the child what was to be learned, what was to be thought about, and how long to think about it. In order to have an efficient policy-making class and a subclass beneath it, it was believed that one had to remove the power of most people to make sense out of the available information. In other words, critical thinking had to be done away with. Now, if you're wondering why the average person doesn't know that the North American education system is based directly on the Prussian model, it might just be because its original purpose was not designed for the good of the individual, but for the good of the government. The philosophy of Johann Fichte directly influenced the creation of the Prussian model of schooling, as he is quoted saying, "The schools must fashion the person, and fashion him in such a way that he simply cannot will otherwise than what you wish him to will." With quotes like these, you can see why his involvement is not well known. Education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils are thus schooled, they will be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. When this technique has been perfected, every government that has been in charge of education for more than one generation will be able to control its subjects securely without the need of armies or policemen. In 1807, in a Berlin occupied by Napoleon, Johann Fichte gave a series of famous addresses to the German nation. Fichte spoke of the superiority of German people above all others. The content of these speeches was a catalyst for the Prussian education system and German nationalism. In other earlier works, he calls Jews a state within a state that would, quote, undermine the German nation. He openly expressed a desire to expel Jews from Germany. Fichte had a deep influence on the rise of the Third Reich, and continues to be deemed, quote, the spiritual father of modern neo-Nazism. Which begs the question, why would the father of American education make it a law that every child spend their youth in a system created by the father of neo-Nazism? Historians reflect that one of the greatest social factors that allowed a man like Hitler to rise to power was that the German people had been bred from birth to respect authority above all else and accept it without question. Which begs another question. If the entire population of North America is raised in a system adopted from pre-Nazi Germany, what are we setting ourselves up for?
Grand day, everybody. Marcus Crystallite here. Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. And today we are going to be really deep diving into and this rabbit hole is coincidentally taking place on this Easter Sunday for those of you that are celebrating Easter. And this is one of those straight up red pill episodes. Like, I'm just going to be straight up honest with you guys. There's going to be no sugarcoating to what is going to be talked about in this space today. And I think we're really getting to a point where we're kind of getting tired. I feel like no matter who we are, no matter what we're from, we're getting kind of tired of being tired. And you know, the system has been constantly being exposed and shown to us that there's a lot of intentional things at hand that are kind of hindering our well-being, and not just our well-being, but, you know, the future and the capabilities of all of us as a human species and as a planet together in having a healthy and conscious everyday life. So as you guys saw, our episode, we're going to be talking about the layers behind this mainstream schooling system. Now, I'm sure a lot of us have had different jokes throughout time, or we've came across some really deep kind of ego death knowledge about the schooling system as well as the government. And I'm sure we learned about the media and things of that nature as well. And, you know, one of the biggest examples I can think about is when you think about history class. And, you know, we have these stereotypical conversations and jokes about history class where we talk about how, you know, they talk about the pilgrims and all these different things about history that you find out is the complete opposite of the way that things happen. And this history has unfolded for us to be able to get here today. And kind of really deep dive into the timeline of how these mainstream schools got the way they are and how they are so parallel to different systems like jails and prisons. And, you know, there's just so much to talk about, and I'm gonna kind of let it unfold as we go. But before we deep dive into this episode, let's go ahead and take a rewind and refresh you guys on where we kind of deep dived early on in this series before we dive into the school. And if you're someone that is all about natural medicine as well as natural remedies and things about avoiding pharmaceuticals, I think you guys are going to really like this episode. So you guys can check it out at any time on the Sacred Kingdom YouTube channel under Organic Home Living.
We have an evil and corrupt medical system. You might believe that the Western medicine that we have today always existed, but it's only about 100 years old. The one you can thank is John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller's greed, not many people liked him. He wanted to fix his reputation, but at the same time earn even more money. Then he found a brilliant solution. Rockefeller found out that there was a way to use his oil to create drugs. His oil was only worth about a nickel per gallon, but Flexner was against natural health and believed that it was quackery and that hospitals needed to use allopathic scientific medicine. Flexner released his report in 1910.
And how things have gotten to where they are today, as we see a very sick nation that we are in, where diabetes is running rampant, as well as obesity, childhood disease, and so much more. I mean, you really look at the death rate now of a human being.
It mentioned that he created the American Medical Association, and to tie it together a little bit more, not too long after that, they started to prove that the pills were causing cancer, and that like a lot of allopathic ways were causing a lot more problems. So he founded the fucking American Cancer Society.
Clearly. So let's see here. We're going to go ahead and go to okay. So right here, this is an example documented about Ganoderma lucidum, again, which is reishi mushroom, suppressing the growth of breast cancer cells. So this is literally what you can go publicly read for yourself about what reishi can do.
It's weird to think that like food dyes and like our clothes and a lot of the commodities that we have in today's world are petrol based. Whenever you
what they would do is they would approach a physician who maybe had no experience, and they would say, hey, how would you like to do a study? We'll pay you X amount of dollars to do the study, but it only 10 patients. and we'll pay you
work, but I know for a fact that, you know, whenever you solder it in, you know, it's going to be in your house for at least 100 years because, you know, it's been 100 years since we had to replace whatever it is. So just like kind of put it in like a perspective on another subject, but like a metaphor, but it's just crazy. It's like, who do you listen to? The people who have been successful with it for centuries, or the people who come and say, oh, we have this new technology. It's only 20, 25 years old.
A system that puts profits above lives, a system that wants to make money off illnesses, and a system that influences everyone. I'm talking about Big Pharma.
I tell you what.
Good old Big Pharma.
Cricket the Gift and Evan, welcome.
What's going on, people?
Happy to be here.
Yes. How are you two?
Doing well.
Always great. Always great.
Yes. Absolutely. It's a beautiful day out there. We're on a bike ride for a little bit and just got back not too long ago. So it's been a nice day so far. Spent the first half of it doing like mixing and mastering and getting this album ready to go. So, yep, busy but fun day so far.
I was actually doing the same with the next song that I wanted to release for I think it's Mother's Day. I think it's the next one I gotta have a release for.
Nice.
It's a little more on the R&B side. This one, the new one.
That's
You said
exciting.
Mother's Day?
Yeah. So I release something every holiday because you want to be constantly releasing something, but I don't want to release every single week. So I do it every holiday, so it kind of breaks it up a little bit.
That's smart. Yeah, I didn't release anything for like almost 2 years, and then finally got to where I was figuring out how to do the mixing and mastering aspect of things a lot better, and now I've pretty much got it. So, no stopping this train. Choo-choo.
Right. Should have never let me figure out how to do it from home.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
How about you, Marcus? How's everything going?
I can see some.
Say what?
So how's everything going with you?
My service is so bad over here. Here we go again.
Yep. Too much consciousness.
Damn.
Ain't even gotten started yet.
It's been crazy lately. I've been like barely able to get through a podcast. I've been pretty good over here though. Just been I was at Serpent Mound yesterday,
Ooh,
connecting
nice.
with the good old Serpent Mound.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed it. I had
Did some drumming,
had to get
put
some
a little
things
crystal
together.
grate up.
Nice.
I don't think I've actually been to Serpent Mound just yet.
Oh man, no need to be sorry. No need to be sorry. You haven't been to Serpent Mound?
Been close to it multiple times, but I haven't actually stopped there. I've always been low on time when I've had the opportunity.
Bro.
So I've been to the Miamisburg Mound though. That's a cool place. But I haven't been to Serpent Mound yet.
Serpent Mound is just a great experience.
Well, I'll put that on my list for this year. Make that happen.
If you come out this way, man, we can go up one day.
I'll actually be in Ohio, April 18th for Music is Medicine with Moroni, Marielle, and Mando. So, yeah, if you're available that time, it would be awesome to do some exploring.
Part of Ohio you guys going to?
Man, it's so bad on my side.
Gotta love service. What did you say, Cricket?
What part of Ohio you guys going to?
Right around Dayton.
All right, y'all.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think the actual town is like Franklin. I think that's what it is.
I might have to watch this on phone. This is nuts.
Once again, they're trying to stop us before we even start.
Yeah. They're like, oh, no punches held. Let's go around.
Once again,
Okay.
they're trying to stop us before we even start.
Yeah. They're like, oh, no punches held. Let's go around.
Once again, they're trying to stop us before we even start.
They're like, oh, no punches held. Let's go around.
Once again.
There's an echo in the building. It's funny.
Man, we're gonna get through this. We'll get through it.
Yes, sir.
So, welcome in everyone that's here. Welcome. On this episode, we're gonna be deep diving about mainstream schooling system, and not only are we gonna be talking about the mainstream schooling system, but we're gonna talk about the timeline, the intentions, and just some of the things that we have noticed and consciously have just been able to sort out for ourselves on our journey when it comes to the way that these schools are designed and set up. And the fact of the matter that, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of us know that there is false history that's being taught in these schools that are not helping us in real life situations. And there is a lot more, such as honestly being programmed to just be a model of what a worker looks like and someone that can fulfill the jobs of the type of corporations and job statuses that they want you to be under. So we're going to be peeling back the layers in this episode. And if you guys have anything to add in the comments, feel free to comment throughout the episode as well. We're always open to hear about the wisdom and the knowledge that you have as well. And of course, if you have questions, drop questions in the comments as well. And we'll answer your questions as well as we can. And along with that too, keep in mind, we have the ability to look up anything as well. So we can always research and look together and discover more layers as well. So
Absolutely.
Enjoy this episode. We kind of already watched a video about a little bit of the history came in to the public education system and the intentions behind that as well. Miss Cricket or Evan to take over and kind of share maybe anything that you have noticed or anything that you've learned or observed when it comes to just the history and the intentions behind the way that they program these mainstream schooling systems. And keep in mind, you can share as many facts as you feel and as deep as the facts go as well. That can even be facts like, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad owning and being a part of the public schooling book companies and things of that nature. There's a lot of dots that are connected, different bits of information, and then things start making sense to you. But yeah, I'll go ahead and open up the space and have you guys share as well when it comes to this school system.
Well, first of all, where I went to school, we were taught it was a pretty mutual understanding and agreement on how, and it was more peaceful on how we acquired the territory of the United States. And that's rather misleading because everything that we have now is built on the bones and the blood of millions and millions of indigenous peoples. And learning about that stuff later on, after we're taught to have such a sense of nationalism and patriotism, like you said, it's kind of like an ego death kind of thing. But it's also infuriating to a high degree to have the winner's perspective force fed to us, and then come to find out later on that these people in fact suffered a lot. And if you've been through the area where the Trail of Tears are, and the whole area, and heard about everything that they went through whenever they got exiled out of the place that they were in, which plays in really heavily to what's going on in Gaza and Palestine and Sudan and Congo and a bunch of other places right now, where the exact same thing is happening with colonialism. That's a big word for this episode right here, is colonialism, and that ties in with the nationalism and patriotism. And we heard in the video in the beginning how dangerous it can be for a schooling system to indoctrinate people to follow orders, to follow authority, and to have a high respect for authority without questioning it. And whenever you go and blindly follow people without looking into who funded them, or where their support has come from, or what kind of people they are from the get-go, it's easy to fall into traps where you might end up killing people because of what you're forced to believe in. Just like we saw with Germany, and we're seeing with Israel. And even here in America, before you're 18, you got these recruiters and stuff coming in, trying to talk to you, trying to get you to come join the military. And I can't count how many times we had one come to our school where they're very much pushing for you to be a boots on the ground kind of situation for this country, to serve the greater interest of the banking companies and everything. That it all ties together, man. The more you look into it, like Marcus was saying, you see all these dots connect, where these elitist billionaires and millionaires and bankers and governments all have their hands in the education system. And it's been that way ever since the Rockefellers took over in the early 1900s and literally hijacked the entire school system to where we're taught what we're supposed to be taught according to them. And then talking about that Prussian school system that we've all been subjected to, tying right in with the Rockefellers, it goes incredibly deep, and it's a frustrating kind of thing, to say the very least. But I'm grateful that we're able to find truth, and that we have the ability to think for ourselves, and the ability to look beyond what we've been taught and what we've been told to believe. And it's that kind of revolutionary act right there that brings actual change later on. Information is power, knowledge is power,
Yeah, that kind of ties in with that video I had sent earlier, but obviously it won't let us play it on here. But it was talking about how they took this lady, let me check, Jane Spalding was her name. So she was kind of like the typical school marm type of thing, but she was a Black American, and but she was like basically the like epitome of what a school teacher was supposed to be like and everything like that. So they kind of paraded her around the entire United States. So they got all 50 states together to agree upon a certain type of school system. And then as soon as she got in and they voted for it and everything out, they fired her because she didn't believe in the segregation. So they fired her and put Nelson Rockefeller in charge. And when they asked him, how much money did you make? It was like $140 million that year. And think about it. This is 1953, 1952, something like that. This happened.
That's
so
crazy.
$140 million around that time. That's a lot of money back then. And he took for the head of the education department. Well, it wasn't the Department of Education yet, but he took the lead role. And they asked him why would he do that, considering that position only made $37,000 a year. Like, why would you take a position making such a big pay cut? And he basically said because if you give him 10 years, which is one generation, he could basically change the mind of the entire world. And that falls back into what they did back in the 1900s first with the whole thing that they were talking about Prussia with the first video that we watched.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just how they indoctrinate us all, like to make us, basically subservient to their goals or what they want to do is just crazy to me.
It's interesting that they had said that you give them one generation, they can completely change the way of thinking.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's interesting that they had said that you give them one generation, they can completely change the way of thinking.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's interesting that they had said that. What were you gonna say, Marcus?
That's so. The service is so bad that I have to use my phone to listen.
That's not good. But yeah, within a generation's time, I think it was in the First World War, where the president that was sitting was not in favor of going to war, but with a little bit of swindling and lobbying and whatnot, they talked him into being in favor of the war, and then they had to convince the American population to be in favor of the war. And before that, like, the entire nation was completely opposed to going to war. They wanted like peaceful resolutions. But once enough propaganda is spun and the TV tells you how to perceive things and the radio tells you how to perceive things, and they can paint the picture like people you've never met and places you've never been to are your enemy, then you can become radicalized pretty quickly. And that's exactly what happened. And then like 80% of the population was in favor of going to war and like ready for it to happen. So seeing that on a mass scale,
Israel?
that was going into the First World War with I can't remember who it was that we were fighting at that point or what exactly was going on, but we were swindled into, the American population was swindled into like being for going to war. That's the point of it. But in regards to like having 10 years to completely change everyone's thinking, that happened in a short amount of time. But we're talking like people forgot how like garden, we're more reliant on food systems, fast food, and like everything's about convenience at this point. And losing our connection to food has been huge because that's had massive health consequences. And then losing the connection between, like, whenever it comes to gardening, if we're not doing it on a small level or a community level, then it becomes like this big monoculture, commercial agricultural type deal that we have going on. We're depending on massive bits of land to feed massive bits of people, you know? So we've been disconnected from that. And then we've been disconnected from our health. We've been disconnected from history. We've been disconnected from like so many things through the school system itself. And it's amazing to think that like that did happen in a very short period of time. Because it was in like the 1920s, 1930s, whenever the school system started to transfer over completely. So we're talking like less than a century where like so much of our lives have been forgotten and switched over to be dependent upon either the electrical grid or the food systems they have in place or the pharmaceutical system that they have in place. It's all very calculated to make them a lot of money and to keep us subservient to that machine.
Yeah,
So,
he said that what's his name, Nelson Rockefeller. He said give him 10 years, but he did it in 8, and he basically he basically just changed the entire schooling system, period, like within that 8 years. And he only needed 10. So just imagine, how well formulated this plan was that they had to change all of that, because back a long time before then, like they taught all of that about agriculture and economics and all of that, and they took all of those things out of the school system. Like,
yeah,
I mean, this was prior to even Nelson Rockefeller going in, so we were going back to like the 1900s, late 1800s when they first started it. But and then he came in and he's kind of like solidified it to okay, we're gonna get everybody out here to want to work for us. Like they don't teach you how to work for yourself. They don't teach you how to maintain yourself or how to build wealth for yourself or anything like that. There's no classes like that any longer. Like all they teach you now is, go get a job, because when you get a job they pay you pennies to make them more. So
absolutely,
that's standard in schooling. And then when you were saying something, I wanted to go back to what you said about the military. So when I was, I think, 18, I was actually kind of patriotic and wanted to go fight for my country and everything like that. But I dropped out of school because of the way the school system was. And so I was like, well, I'll just go to the military. And they told me that you have to have a high school diploma or a GED in order to even join the military. So it's like basically saying that learn our way of thinking or you cannot join us. Because like that one video said, it's like you can't be a free thinker. You have to be able to follow orders and be obedient to what they got going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what base training is too. Like everybody goes to basic whenever you first start in the military, and it's literally, if you haven't learned to follow orders yet, you're about to.
Right. Right. And it's like the whole first 6 months of it. It's like learning how to follow orders.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just like the whole system that they have in place from the banking down to the medical, down to the school system, and then when you notice, it's all the same couple families that like control it all.
Absolutely.
I was telling somebody one time, like, you think of the 1%, you think of billionaires and millionaires. No, those are like the generals. Like the millionaires and billionaires, they have no say at all. They're foot soldiers, like just like everybody else. That 1% are trillionaires. Like they,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's probably like 4 or 5 families that control the entire $8 billion population of people.
Yeah, the Rothschilds being one of the bigger ones.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
The Rockefellers.
Yep.
Man. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Let's actually go ahead and deep dive a little bit about Rockefeller real quick. And this is gonna be great. I love to see what you guys have to say about this video, and of course everybody else out there as well. It's about a 5-minute video, and this is gonna be directly about John D. Rockefeller and his history and the influence on the schooling system.
Yeah.
In the early 20th century, the landscape of American education underwent a significant transformation. At the forefront of this transformation was John D. Rockefeller, a name synonymous with immense wealth and industrial power. This video delves into the history, chronology, and implications of the Rockefeller school system, exploring its far-reaching impact on education and society. The late 19th and early 20th centuries were marked by rapid industrialization and urbanization in the United States. During this period, the need for a more structured and unified education system became apparent. John D. Rockefeller, a titan of the oil industry, saw an opportunity to influence this sector profoundly. In 1902, he established the General Education Board, GEB, with a mission to promote education throughout the country. Rockefeller's vision for education was not just about increasing literacy, but also about shaping the future workforce. The GEB received substantial funding, eventually amounting to over $180 million, a massive sum at the time. This funding was directed towards standardizing education, particularly in the South, which lagged behind the rest of the country in terms of educational infrastructure and accessibility. The GEB's influence extended beyond mere funding. It played a crucial role in shaping the curriculum, emphasizing subjects that would produce a disciplined and efficient workforce. The focus was on practical skills and basic literacy, steering away from classical education models that prioritized philosophy, art, and critical thinking. The GEB was founded with an initial grant of $1 million from Rockefeller. This marked the beginning of a new era in American education, with a focus on standardization and practical skills. By 1906, the GEB had expanded its reach significantly. It funded schools, teacher training programs, and educational research. The board's influence grew, particularly in rural and southern states. One of the most significant contributions of the GEB was the Flexner Report, published in 1910. Authored by Abraham Flexner and funded by the GEB, this report critically assessed medical education in the United States and Canada. Its findings led to the closure of many substandard medical schools and the reform of medical education, ensuring a higher standard of medical training. Throughout the 1920s, the GEB continued to consolidate its influence over the American education system. It promoted the consolidation of rural schools into larger, more efficient institutions. This period also saw the GEB advocating for the professionalization of teaching, emphasizing the need for trained and certified teachers. By the 1940s, the influence of the GEB began to wane. However, its legacy was firmly established. The standardized, pragmatic approach to education that the GEB had championed became the norm across the United States. One of the enduring mysteries surrounding the Rockefeller school system is the extent of its control over the American education system. Critics argue that Rockefeller's involvement in education was not entirely altruistic. They suggest that the emphasis on producing a disciplined workforce served the interests of industrialists like Rockefeller, ensuring a steady supply of obedient and skilled workers. Another critical point of contention is the suppression of critical thinking. By focusing on practical skills and basic literacy, the Rockefeller school system arguably limited students' ability to think critically and question the status quo. This has led to ongoing debates about the true purpose of education and the need for a more holistic approach that includes critical thinking and creativity. Despite these criticisms, the Rockefeller school system's impact on American education is undeniable. It laid the groundwork for the modern education system, with its emphasis on standardization and practical skills. However, the debate over its true intentions and long-term effects continues to this day. The Rockefeller school system represents a pivotal chapter in the history of American education. Its legacy is a complex mix of progress and controversy, reflecting the broader tensions between industrial interests and educational ideals. As we continue to navigate the challenges of modern education, the lessons from the Rockefeller era remain relevant, reminding us of the need to balance practicality with critical thinking and creativity.
I mean,
That's something they left out of there
there
too.
you have it right there.
One thing they left out of that video is that around that time, also during the Rockefeller era, they the millions of dollars that he was donating to the schools and everything like that, he was incentivizing teachers. So it's like if you didn't follow that curriculum, then your school wouldn't get no type of funding and everything like that. So it kind of weaned out all of the teachers who wasn't with that type of teaching that he was promoting. And then they said that 1940 is when the GEB started to wane, but that's when the HEW started, and 13 years later his grandson Nelson got in there and started it all over again.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient to have all the right people in the right places to make you a bunch of money, isn't it?
Right.
Especially whenever you're controlling the literal education of a whole nation, over 320 million people. That's crazy. Absolutely insane.
Yeah,
But
Nelson Rockefeller said that he thought that was the most important job in the government, like above even the president of the United States, is the education department to, shape the minds of the new world.
yeah, that makes sense. Well, I agree with the importance, but I would beg to differ that it's important that we do know how to think for ourselves, and that we know how to garden and how to take care of the planet properly, and learn actual skills that can help us achieve things on our own. And it's a very limited and boxed in kind of system that makes you great for being a doctor or great for being an engineer of some sorts, or, well, engineering is very hit and miss, but whenever it comes to like run machines at a factory or something like that, that kind of work, But when it comes to creativity and actually like being yourself, I was kind of blessed in the respect that they had multiple music programs whenever I was in school. Unfortunately, they did away with most of them shortly after I graduated. But I guess my school did it slightly differently than some other schools, but at the same time, we were very much taught a lot of the same stuff, and it's still a very boxed in way of thinking that as you go on throughout life, you're like, oh, well, that wasn't true. Oh, that wasn't what I learned. Oh, that's
Yeah.
That's
You can't have a bunch of free thinking people running around whenever
No.
you are trying to maintain control.
It's a danger to the system.
Definitely,
Can't have
100%.
that.
I was a
So-
nerd in school, though, so I kind of like I went to school, but I was the type of person, I never really believed what somebody would tell me at face value, so I would go research it more on my own. So, I was in the library a lot, just reading books that they didn't have in school, and that's how I learned a lot of the information that they were teaching in school wasn't even true.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't do all that. I started researching stuff after I got out of school, and I mean, whenever I was in school too, I was doing that to a degree, but a lot of the stuff that I found was online. I wasn't much of a bookworm my own self. But yeah, one of the big indicators was whenever I was 16, 17 and had just started smoking cannabis. And I was like, well, this is fantastic. Why is it illegal? Start looking into why it's illegal and find out like, oh, this is for not good purposes. They had no information on this before they made it illegal, other than like it was helping expand people's mental horizons a little too far, and that was a threat to the system, which is actually in the Epstein files. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but yeah, the Lord's lettuce was mentioned in the Epstein files, saying that part of the Mossad Israeli intelligence had collaborated with our government and made it illegal to keep people from thinking for themselves. Because when you smoke, you start to question shit and start to think about things you wouldn't normally think about.
Yep.
And
it's the same. It's the same with alcohol during the time of prohibition. It's like when you start getting, you start drinking too much or start getting too drunk, so you got that drunk mind, and you're just like, no, like this is not like you just start saying whatever you want and all this stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, anything in excess is not good for you, but you know what I mean? But I mean, some things like you gotta think back to like, don't get me wrong, anything in excess is not good for you, but you know what I mean? But I mean,
Hey, Ohio just they really screwed us over, man.
yeah, what's that all
Ohio
about?
screwed us over big time. They just passed a law where, keep in mind, Ohio was just recreational. So they were recreational, and then all of a sudden they decided to 180, and what they did was legal to have anything Delta 9 or like any of that type of stuff. And then they made it legal to have any drinks as well. And then they basically made it illegal to have any cannabis that is from out of state. And then they said that you have to have the weed transported in the original packaging from their dispensary in order to transport it. And then when you transport it, you have to have it in your trunk.
Wow.
Yeah, they like full blown went 180, and they basically monopolized the weed and then trapped everyone. And now we're just like, all right, basically, if you guys don't get the weed through us, then it's illegal.
So can medical patients
And that
still
happened
grow?
on March 20th.
That's crazy. Can medical patients still grow their own stuff, or do they outlaw that too?
Yeah, they can grow, but of course they shrunk the amount, so they can't do as much.
Gotcha.
but don't forget though, you're allowed to gift up to, what is it, 2 ounces?
But
You're allowed to gift up to 2.5
God forbid,
ounces.
man.
But you can't.
God forbid if they
accept any
exchange
type
that
of
with
money
somebody, though.
for it or like anything
It's
like
pretty
that.
wild.
Yeah, that's wild. That's one of the things that like there should be no take backsies on.
Right.
That shouldn't be allowed. That's just not cool. But I mean, some of it I can understand, like the not smoking in your car and stuff like that. But as for a good portion of that, it seems like a bunch of overreach that they're just kind of trying to get the big brother thumb back on the people.
But they have tons of intoxicating prescription medication that you can, have and drive on and everything like that. Like I lost a job before because, I was on prescription medication and I was so zombied out that but I was doing detailing and I backed the car into the garage because I was so zombied out from my medication, and that was completely legal.
Yeah, no, I've had similar experiences where I was prescribed Zoloft and Boosterone whenever I was in high school. I think it was between my junior and senior year of high school, and that stuff had me out of it, where not even close to being the same person. It's just like being the shell of a person, and then you take enough of that Boosterone, and that's a generic Xanax, and fuck your world up, man. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've lost days on that stuff. Just don't remember whole entire days or weeks at times where, yeah, it's incredible that kind of stuff is legal, but a plant that does not do close to that is not. And if anybody watched the Rockefeller episode a few weeks ago, we discussed why.
Right.
Well, I guess we did just play a Rockefeller video here a few minutes ago, so we can touch back on it. But a big part of them taking over the medical system and the schooling system as they did was replacing people that were practicing herbal means of healing and holistic medication, naturopathy. They phased those people out, and they outlawed all the natural medicine, like all the plant medicines and everything like that. That's what everybody was using for thousands of years before the late 1800s, early 1900s. And they're like, yeah, we don't need this anymore. We're going to do it with oil. Yeah. And it was not long after that where they proposed first that cannabis should be scheduled as a drug. And then in the 1930s, I think it was 1937, they, in partnership with the Rockefeller Foundation, the government just completely made it illegal. So, yeah, whenever you look at what it can replace, my dad, he was taking 31 pills a day whenever I was a teenager, for multiple years at a time. And a lot of that stuff had it to where he just couldn't work for multiple years because he was so out of it, And there was multiple times where I questioned if he was gonna be alive whenever I woke up the next day, because how zooted out he would get and how tired it would make him, and all the effects that it was having on your body. And around 2020, 2019, something like that, after years of all this, I brought him some CBD and some edibles, some THC edibles. And within a couple of months, he was down to one medication. All that. So it's happened time and time again where people are looking for ways to feel better, looking for a way to manage their stress or their chronic pain or anything like that. And cannabis ends up stepping in and replacing every bit of medication they had. And if you happen to, I was just talking with my therapist about this the other day, where he specifically told me, verbatim from my therapist, he said that the administration he works for is more focused on getting a higher quantity of patients than providing them with quality care.
Right.
That came right from my therapist, and I was kind of floored whenever he said that. I was like, wow, you're kind of talking shit about the people you're working for right here. Look at you go, buddy. Yeah, you're a rebel. But that's what it becomes about. It's they want to sell you these pills and everything as this remedy for your problems, but what he tells people, because he's a therapist, not a psychiatrist, where in psychiatry they'll give you like the Zoloft and all these other things for like antipsychotics to help you through depression, your anxiety, and all this shit. When in reality, he's telling them like you gotta change your life to actually feel better, man. Like with the screens, the amount of content that we consume, depending on what kind of content you're consuming, whether it's positive or negative or uplifting or scary or whatever, like what you consume makes who you are. Same thing with food. If you're eating trash food, you're gonna feel like trash. It's just how it is. And whenever you start eating like alkaline based living foods that actually feed your gut and give you proper nutrients, then you actually start to feel better. And then whenever you get more exercise and get more sunlight, you feel better. And there's all these habits and behaviors that we have the power of changing on a daily basis that can actually help make us feel better to where we're not relying on these systems. And unfortunately, that's something that the people are not exactly taught, and that they're not exactly informed on, so that they can't really. Some people have the knowledge to make those decisions, but a lot of them don't. And that's where the schooling system comes into play. If you knew that you could like go out there and make some teas from the weeds right outside that would help with your seasonal allergies better than Zyrtec would, well, that doesn't benefit the people very well.
It all goes back to the schooling system. That, like you said, they don't teach you any of those things. They teach you to go to the doctor. They teach you to go, ask a therapist or what have you like that. They don't teach you that, what could cure you is right there in your backyard. You know what I mean? They don't teach you things like that.
No, that's very much by design too. And they say that literally the best medicine that you can get is the medicine that's in your yard, because it carries traces of every single bit of the stuff that you'd be allergic to in the air. And it's a natural vaccination is what it is. You're taking that stuff, and if you make a tea out of it, or you just like eat some of the herbs or flowers or something in a salad that you make, then you're getting a natural vaccination where you're getting like the microbes and parts of the viruses and stuff like that are still alive, but you're getting them in there in such a small quantity that your body can make those antibodies and those microbes and everything to handle it later, so that you're prepared for it. And that's a whole multi-billion-dollar fucking topic right there, is vaccinations. And,
oh yeah. I could go for hours on that one too.
Well, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, especially when it comes around to the big old C shot that people were forced into getting a few years back.
Man. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. There's so much evidence and so much information that makes it absolutely undeniable that they do a lot more harm than good. And don't get me wrong, like polio and chicken pox and stuff like that, like, it's debatable that it could be beneficial to get those, but at the same time, one thing that we're not taught well at all is how the immune system actually works. And we are not taught how the body works. We are not taught how our lymphatic system works. We're not taught how our muscular systems work. Well, sometimes in PE, because they do like bulking people up, especially if you're going to go be a firefighter or a cop or something like that. It has its uses, right? But for the most part, we are not at all taught how the body works. I know, interestingly enough, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's kind of like right there in front of you, though. Like whenever you think about what a vaccine is and what it does is, what do? Is they put a dead virus and they inject you with the dead virus so that your body will create antibodies to fight against it. Well, like you said, like when you have allergies or something like that, when you put yourself in contact with that organism, like then your body will naturally, build up those antibodies without the vaccine and all the extra stuff that they're putting in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
like you said, they don't teach you how your body works, because that's literally how your body works. Like during the whole seed epidemic thing, like they're making you put on these masks that don't do anything but stop you from getting getting those chemicals into yourself so that your body can protect itself from it. Your body is designed to protect itself from those type of diseases. But like you said, chicken pox and polio and stuff like that's a little bit debatable, but it's just because they didn't really do any research on what was actually causing it. They just went out and started shoving needles in people.
Absolutely. And I would even say that chicken pox reminds me a lot of ringworm in many different ways. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a parasitic by nature kind of thing that's going on. And as a matter of fact, a lot of diseases and illnesses have been traced right back to some sort of parasitic foundation. So there's that. And then every other country pretty much does some sort of like detox, whether it be heavy metal or parasite detox, like annually, at least once, if not every 6 months, if not monthly, or sometimes even more than that. And we're like one of the few countries that think that like having parasites is a hoax. So not only do we not know how the body works, we don't know how to take care of it in multiple different ways. And the way that we're taught to take care of it through pharmacology is more of a detriment than anything else. It's like designed to kill you, really.
Right.
So, I didn't know until 2 or 3 years ago, something like that your tonsils are actually kind of like part of your body's natural vaccination, where whatever you breathe, whatever you eat, whatever you drink, it takes little itty bitty microscopic bits of all that, and it shoots it in these glands right down to your stomach, bypassing all of your other organs. And that way your gut biome, which is where your immune system actually starts, and all your gut bacteria, your microbiome, your gut flora. If your gut flora is out of whack, your immune system's out of whack. That's just how it goes. And most people's are, because it's targeted that way through the food system. That's why glyphosate is such a big thing, and why all these processed foods are it's all creating an environment for parasites to thrive, is what it's doing. And then cancer thrives in that, and then so does diabetes and a whole slew of other things. But not to digress too far, your tonsils send that down, bypassing all your other organs, so that your gut can make the bacteria and the antibodies to deal with what's coming in as you're eating it. So like it's like a real-time vaccination kind of thing, where like it's always creating new antibodies and new microorganisms to deal with what's coming into the body. So I had mine removed when I was 4 years old, and I was pretty pissed to find out later on that those actually have a big purpose. I don't have.
I wonder why they make so many people get them taken out.
Exactly, man. Exactly. You're literally removing part of the body's natural vaccination system. So, and then that goes in with like removing wisdom teeth and removing the foreskin of the male penises whenever they're born, and what was the other one? Basically, they get stem cells from all these, like gallbladder and stuff like that. Your appendix, like organs that they take out that can like be healed and regenerated if given the proper like amount of time and given the proper diet and the proper setting. That's the best kept secret in medicine, is that your body will heal itself if you give it the proper conditions to do so. But they take stem cells from like your wisdom teeth and from the foreskin and from all these other things that they operate on. And then they make drugs out of those for cancer treatment and all this other shit. And it's like, well, we have all that inside of our body. Why are you taking it out? You know? It's like, you bastards. How dare you?
They do the exact same thing with like natural plant medicine and things like that. They'll make the plant illegal for you to go pick on your own, and they'll take that plant and go manufacture man-made drugs with them and say, oh, here, this is the drug for you to cure you. But really all they're doing is they're killing the health factor of that plant by mixing it with all of these other chemicals, and then they're not actually treating you. They're just, putting you in a state of containment so that you have to come back to get those drugs.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to tie that more full circle, pretty much all medication in some way, shape, or form has the roots in petrol. It's a petrol-based kind of thing. And as we've talked about whenever we did the Monsanto episode, and even touched on it in the Rockefeller episode and the episode before that, where we were talking about like what to feed kids and all this other stuff, it all ties back into the oil industry in some way, shape, or form. But a lot of pesticides and herbicides and like fertilizers and stuff that are sprayed on the field and sprayed on our grass and sprayed on our sidewalk and sprayed in our houses, sprayed on the playgrounds and our churches, literally everywhere that fucking people and our kids go. Right. They're spraying these herbicides and pesticides that are petrol-based kinds of things, because whenever you release petrol into like waterways, what happens? Well, fish go belly up because we kill them. Mm-hmm. Meaning that like one of the best ways to kill something is by putting oil in its fucking environment, and like freely anyway. If it's down the ground and doing what it's supposed to do, then actually oils the earth, and then the tectonic plates are able to slide a little bit better, and we have less earthquakes, and it's a good thing. But it's supposed to stay the fuck down there. Not supposed to be up here. So the fact that they're using stuff that like we use to kill everything to try and heal people by pairing it with the plants that we've used for thousands of years to heal people, it's what the fuck?
Make it make sense, people. Make it make sense.
Yeah, for real. Make it make sense. So there's obviously like malicious intent behind it. It's not, you can't say that like, oh, we've made all these pesticides and stuff and we know what it does. And like, oh, actually, hey, I know you see it killing all this stuff over here. I know all that stuff just died because we sprayed this on it. But hear me out.
If you take it, that won't happen. I promise.
I mean, it's literally insane at this point, for real. It's so insane to think about these things.
Yeah,
I'm just so grateful to know brothers like you that are aware of these things. Because man, it gets lonely on this travel. Holy smokes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it really does. Very much so.
Just trying to tell people these things, sometimes they just look at you like, what do you mean? Like, you're just like, no, like actually think about it like for a second. Like he just said, like they showed you that it kills all of these live organisms over here. What makes you think that it's good for you? Like, come on now. Use your brain just for 1 second. It's like, come on.
For real, man. Yeah, and that goes back to the education
man.
system.
They use
Say
Coca-Cola.
Oh yeah, Coca-Cola. Oh, yeah. The best rust remover in the world.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Need to clean my pennies. Might use some of it on my van later, get some of the rust off the bottom of it. No, it's wild, and it all ties back in.
Wash my organs with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, all jokes aside, if anybody's curious about how to actually clean your organs in a good way, not that.
Right.
The best way, yeah, the best way to clean anything is with super hot water. So like hot teas and stuff like that, herbal teas, fantastic for cleaning out your kidneys and your liver and your microbiome and all that fun stuff. Even like helping get rid of some of the parasites and fungus and stuff that's growing up in there.
Dandelion root.
Yes, absolutely, man. Well, like I was saying a few minutes ago, some of the best medicine that you can get is right out there, right outside your door. And if you walk outside, especially at this time of year right now, there's a bunch of purple nettle and there's a bunch of dandelions and there's a bunch of purple hemlet and chickweed and all those pretty little plants that grow, the pretty little flowers that grow in your yard that you spray all the fucking time. That's the medicine right there. Dandelion root and dandelion plant kill up to 90% of cancer cells. And that's just because they've got all the microbes from the soil in it. It's all still fresh and lots of vitamin C, lots of vitamin D from the sun. And yeah, it's a fucking powerhouse. So that's why we've been taught to spray it this whole time. Like, yep, go out there and kill your weeds. You don't need them. They're an eyesore. It's like, dude, it's the prettiest fucking part of this year. What are you talking about? I love seeing all the flowers.
And another thing, like we talked about before, fasting. Fasting is the quickest way to heal your body, because when you're fasting, your body's not working to digest food. So it takes all of that energy that it's normally using to digest food to heal all your organs and to heal your body. So it's the best medication one of the best medications that you can do is just fast for a couple days.
Absolutely.
Like a water or juice diet or something.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to tying it into the education system, does anybody else find it weird that the schools that you go to school the longest for, or the jobs that you go to school the longest for, is generally to be a doctor? Granted, like lawyers and stuff like that, they got to go a bit longer because there's a lot of facets to the law that you got to learn. But next to that, the longest that you go to school for is to be a doctor. And that's why like the top tier of like the education system is like getting your doctorate in something, right? So when you think about it, like one of the highest paying jobs that you can get is to be a doctor. And whenever you look at who owns the American education system, and then you look at like what pays the most and what do they push you towards the most whenever you're growing up, a lot of it's going into the medical field. I mean, here in Indiana alone, like our biggest school is IU, which is a school of medicine. It's a pharmacology school. And most people I know that went to school for being a doctor or a nurse or something like that, they get taught maybe 10 to 15 minutes of nutrition. Maybe. You get taught a whole shit ton of pharmacology and like what this pill does and what this pill does, what happens if you mix this with this, and like all these intricate and clever names for like parts of your body and your cells and your blood, and separating the body into like your nervous system and your heart and your stomach and your colon and your brain, and it's dividing this one organism up into all these little different facets so that like everybody's kind of compartmentalized on like, oh, this dude just messes with feet. This dude just messes with your ears and throat. This dude just messes with your teeth. This dude just messes with your heart. This dude just messes, like, so on and so forth, you know? Whereas it's one fucking system. If one thing's out of whack in your body's out of whack. Plain and fucking simple. So it's looking at, for one, all the toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis, whether it be through food, whether it be through like chemicals that we clean our house with, or chemicals that are in hygiene products that we use on a day-to-day basis, or anything at all. They've done a good job at working petrol and other toxic things into just about everything that we use on a daily basis. Hell, even the walls and stuff that we're surrounded by are like coated with plastic, because that's what paint is from. It's plastic.
Yeah.
Which I didn't go ahead. What?
No, I was just saying it's in everything.
It really is, man. And I read somewhere not too long ago that one of the biggest polluters on the world now is not what you think it would be. It is paint. Because paint is petrol derived. That's where the VOCs come from and all that fun shit in it. It's a petrol based thing. So
that's why I would like when you're doing painting or anything like that, like you have to have a special agency or a special company come to pick that paint up. You can't just like throw it in your regular trash.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then we got people tearing down houses all day, every day, and all that shit being like released into the ground and into the groundwater and into the air and you name it, man. So it's wild how how ingrained it is into everything. And it just shows that if one man could have that much power, imagine what 8 billion of us could do if we put our minds to it, you know?
I talked about this before too. Is like the human race did not become the top of the food chain because we were the fastest or even the smartest. It's because we worked together to get away from the fastest and, you know, the strongest. Is like working together. So like you said, if one man or one family could have this much control over 8 billion people, imagine what us 7 million people could do to change all of that.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's
all we got to do is work together.
Truth. And that's where knowledge becomes power, where in this day and age we have the ability to access any information that we want to access. Without that, a lot of us would still be right where the American education system wanted us to be. But thankfully, they have to tell the truth about a lot of things, and they kind of hide it in plain sight, which is easy to overlook because they normally do it as jokes. But there's enough of the truth in plain sight that's left us breadcrumbs to be able to think for ourselves and make our own decisions if we so choose to follow the willpower to do so. And when we realize that we do have the power, it just takes many of us working together towards common goals that are not only for the good of just one human being, but all human beings and all life on this planet. Then that's where the real revolution is going to take place. It's not about going out and killing all the terrorists, and it's not about going and setting buildings on fire and this, that, and the other. It's like conscious action that is required, like changing your daily habits, changing what you consume, changing what you support with your dollars. And that's one thing that we often overlook, is that our dollars are a ballot of their own. Where we choose to spend them is what will continue to thrive. And what continues to thrive is what will continue to suppress and oppress people, if that's what they're already doing, and if that's what we're choosing to support. But if we're wanting to support things that are headed towards like regenerative agricultural practices or organic farming or naturopathic medicine or like even frequency healing, like all the woo-woo shit, the more that we make conscious decisions on like what we're trying to support and get away from supporting the things that are literally killing us and all the future generations and the entire planet that we're living on, that's the revolution right there. And it's important for people to understand this. That's what I try and stress.
Well said, man.
Yeah, that's what I try and as a matter of fact, I just put out a song called Soundtrack of the Revolution last Friday, and it's exactly about this. It's about how the revolution isn't in the banks, it's not in the White House, it's not in the wars, it's in us. And whenever we realize that we have the power through coming together and through like helping our fellow man, our communities, then we're going to start seeing progress pretty much overnight, because that's the power that we have as creators and co-creators in this realm. But it takes making those conscious decisions and doing the hard things to actually make that fucking happen.
And then I just want to add to that is that the revolution doesn't necessarily mean something violent. It doesn't have to be something violent where we're all out in the streets rioting and everything like that. The revolution is just simply the knowledge that, you know, we all have collectively. If we put all that knowledge together, you know, we can be, you know, a better being, period, just a better human race or whatever you want to call it. And also, like, doesn't matter what religious beliefs that you have, every single religion out there will tell you that the creator, God, source, whatever you want to call them, put everything that you need to survive here on this earth. You just got to have knowledge on how to utilize it correctly.
Absolutely. And there's a tribe called the Ubuntu tribe. I think they're out of Africa. Their core belief is that exactly that we have everything that we need here on this planet. They don't have a monetary system. What they have is people who work together. There's people who are good at doing the gardening, and there's people who are good at doing the housekeeping. And then whenever shit literally hits the fan and they have sewage problems or something of that nature, there are people that are good at that, and they go take care of it, not because they want to, but because they know that it's their service to their community, and that if they don't do it, it's not going to get done. There's going to be big problems. It's common sense, you know? So there's so many ways that we can do things without like being dependent upon the system that we have, and still maintaining a lot of the luxuries that we have when it comes to like electricity and modern day convenience and stuff like that. It's just a matter of shifting it just a little bit. Like, for instance, instead of using oil specifically all the time, hemp. It does the same fucking thing, dude. You can do so much with hemp. We could build everything out of hemp. We can build houses, we can build cars, we can make oil, we can make clothing, we can make food, plastic. Like,
that kind of brings me back to what you were talking about earlier with the cannabis, because I mean obviously we know that you know, you use cannabis plant to make hemp, and that's what they used to use, and it was destroying the paper and clothing industry, like, because everybody was using hemp. It was way cheaper to make, it was way easier to use, and it was more organic and better for the environment, and it hit their pockets, and that was another one of the reasons, other than just smoking it, that made them decide to make it illegal.
Absolutely, that was a huge reason. A lot of people don't know that one of the first cars that was ever built by Henry Ford was made completely from hemp. The tires were made from hemp. Everything was made from hemp, and the fuel that it ran on was also made from hemp. And they were like, "Oh shit, no, we can't have that." So the Rockefellers and DuPonts were a big reason why hemp and cannabis were made illegal. And not only did it threaten the system through people being like, oh, there's some shit going on here, but also like it's like, oh, it threatened the entire petrol industry, like as a whole. Like it was gonna shut us down. So I can't have that. Not cool. But that's a very good point right there. Hemp can do
That is so
anything.
Yeah.
Paper, rope, clothing, fuel. There's so many uses for hemp. So many uses.
Yeah. So that's one example of many of
guys, it's honestly crazy.
Isn't it though? Yeah.
Right.
There's many examples of what we can do if we just put our mind to it. And honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure that like voting is the answer, because I question often, even if you're a grassroots person, what does grassroots really mean in this economy if you've gotten far enough for this, like a whole bunch of people to know your name and for you to have a platform to where like you are big enough to be known by like a good portion of the United States, you know? I'm aware of how hard it is to get your name out there and how hard it is to like actually get out and meet people and get people to back you. And even if you have good ideas, but I question every politician. I want, like, if at this point, if you're gonna get a vote for me, like I'm gonna need a trial run where like we see how things are gonna go, and then I'll make my decision based upon like the actions that I see. But I mean, that's what they're all good at doing. It's a whole lot of talk and a whole lot of pandering to an audience and a whole lot of like putting on the mask and playing the part. And then once you get into the position, you're just a puppet for the people above you, because like who writes the fucking paychecks for the politicians, man? Like some of it comes from our tax dollars, but who do they get paid by? The banks. And the central banking system, right? So their interest is bought and paid for, and it's not necessarily our interest. So I question if voting is even like something that's really going to even make any change. And I think it's a way for them to wave like the carrot in front of our face, saying like, so there might be some change, there might not be. Vote for us and you'll find out. And it's like, well, we could just change our own. Like we could be like small tribes and communities and govern our fucking selves. And then like if somebody steps out of line, we take care of it. But I don't trust the government at this point. There's a lot of reasons why, including the last hour and a half and all the other fucking
all the other episodes.
All the other episodes.
Episodes to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Constant 180s.
Yeah.
Constant 180s, man. Tired of it all. I also wanted to share this too for perspective. With the schools. So you think about like how we're electromagnetic beings and how our energy field is, organic, and it needs to have like healthy electromagnetic energy. So they, number one, they have you get up like 6 a.m. or, if you're a little child, you're getting up at like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. and you're getting promoted to eat basically a sugar-filled cereal for breakfast. And then after that, you're then putting on these rubbery, plastic, and artificial shoes. And then you're putting on artificial clothes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're brushing your teeth with your Colgate fluoride toothpaste, probably swallowing a little bit of it as well. And then you're getting on the bus, genetic fields. And then you get off the bus, and then you go into this big old building. And this big old building reflects and represents the same type of form as a jail or a prison with big white brick walls in the inside.
Yep.
And then you go in there, and the lighting system is artificial and programmed to be too sensitive for the human. So then you're getting put into that artificial lighting. And then, like if you're getting some breakfast there, you're getting heavily processed breakfast. And then after that, you're going to go in there, and then you're going to have to start getting trained to follow this bell. And this bell is going to be, what puts you in the fight or flight mode to go to the next class that you have to get to for that. And not only are you going to get punished, but you're going to get punished in front of everyone. And then you're going to be made example of as well. So another thing too that I find very intriguing is that this process is like slowly just like chipping away at your natural and organic electromagnetic connection to the Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very intriguing because I feel like the more you can then the more easier it is to program them. And I also find it fascinating too is like, how come the schooling systems kind of like have, if you want to say like more authority than the parents do of their children. Like you really think about it in a way. It's like the schooling system has this overall authority over the children to where it's like, if they're like getting told like what they have to do by the teachers and all this different stuff about their own children. I mean, I've just been really thinking about it like leading up to this episode today. Just like, wow, like the psychology of what has been happening here in this country and how we've really been, manipulated into this system to truly believe that this system is a end-all be-all and that we have this system and that, if we aren't part of the system, then we are like a anarchist or anything crazy like that. I mean, we really gotta wake up a little bit. Sending children off to these places, even after having these kind of discussions and seeing people talk about them. And there are a lot of alternatives out there for everyone out there. There's a lot of homeschooling alternatives. There's a lot of nature-based alternatives. And there's also like a lot of family-based ones as well. And, that's kind of like another part of the rabbit hole as well is just like family dynamics. Man, they put an attack on family dynamics through schooling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about nature. I think they should be integrating nature into school a lot more
I agree. There's
I
some
like the
schools that,
hands-on schools.
yeah. I can personally attest that my son Oliver, he went to public school for the first 7 years of his life, and he struggled really hard with being in school, not only because he's a creative individual, but also because a lot of problems that we have with kids is that they won't sit down and learn for 8 hours a day. Well, they're not meant to do that. They're kids. They're meant to be outside for at least 6 hours a day, getting their hands in the dirt, getting familiar with like what plants are what, getting familiar with like the energy of the entire planet that we live on, and learning where our food comes from and how to clean up our water, where to get water from, like things that actually keep you alive. And so whenever I got custody of him back in 2022, I started doing homeschooling with him. And there's a few different forms of homeschooling. There's Waldorf, there's Montessori, and I forget the other one right now. But we did a mixture of like Waldorf and Montessori. And those are more creative versions of learning right there. It's more creative curriculum, and it's more nature based, and it's more ecological based, and it's more it's more open-minded. It's a lot more open-minded. It allows you to be more creative and have more hands-on kind of stuff, and literally a lot of like lessons involve like going out and identifying like certain leaves, certain plants, like go on a hike and see what you see kind of thing. And there's so many different ways of learning where your kid will actually learn better and enjoy learning better, because learning isn't supposed to be a shit show. It's not supposed to be something that's just like you want to roll your eyes at and like puff and stomp around the whole time. No, learning should be fun, dude. Like life is a big lesson in itself. Like we can learn every situation, every person that you come across, everything that you do, it can be your teacher if you allow it to be. But we're not exactly taught to learn that way. We're taught to learn from books and taught to learn from authority, and it's back ass words. But but homeschooling him for the last few years has not only brought me back to basics and like changed my perception on like how a kid can and should learn, but it also made me think about how I learned going through school. And I was like, man, it feels like we missed a lot of opportunities and like kind of missed the mark on a lot of stuff, because like, yeah, I can do the Pythagorean theorem, but actually I can't even remember how to do that sometimes at this point, man. But coming out of high school, so what? What'd you say?
We were taught like such useless information.
Yeah, dude. I mean, coming out of high school, if you asked me to identify a maple tree, I couldn't have. If you had asked me like what purple nettle was, no fucking idea. Like so many things that disconnect us from the outside world out there happen within those school walls. And we're not even given an accurate account of like how our bodies work and how the immune system works. And like I said a few minutes ago, it's like the entire intention of it is to disconnect you from real reality and kind of put you in their reality of like working all the time and being as part of the machine. So I do think it's like one of the most important things that you can do as a parent if you're trying to fight the system in any way, shape, or form is take control of your kids' education. Because when you think about it, on average, children are awake from 12 to 14 hours a day, maybe 16 if you're lucky. And when you think about how many hours parents work, some parents don't get home till like 5 or 6 in the afternoon or evening or later than that. Some parents are at work in the evening time after their kid gets home from school. And some parents are fortunate enough to not work so many hours and they're able to be there right after school. But you're still talking, you get home, you do the dinner thing, you do showers, get their homework done, and bam, it's time for bed.
Right.
You know? So where is the, other than summer and spring break and Christmas break, where's the opportunities to connect with your children? We're talking over, by the time you figure in like your dinner and the school bus rides, which are anywhere from like 1 to 2 hours in a day, the 8 hours of schooling, the extracurricular activities, all this other stuff. And you're lucky if you have 2 to 3 hours a day to really be with your kids, you know? So whenever you're saying that the teachers have more influence over you than over your kid than you do, that sounds like a ridiculous statement, but when you think about it, it's really true. The school is getting most of their childhood and most of their time throughout the day where you should be there and should be able to connect with them and show them how to do the gardening and show them how to work with the world around us and like travel around and learn different things and different cultures and different skills. But it's set up in such a way that's not the case. It's set up so that not only are we disconnected from nature and from ourselves, but we're disconnected from our children and our families. And a whole society that's based on disconnection to that degree has to find something to be connected to in order to feel somewhat normal, you know? And that connection that we go seeking for nowadays is generally sought through this screen that we're looking at right here on your phone or on your laptop or at your TV. And it's all these like artificial forms of connection, when what we need is connection to our families and to our children and to our land and to our waters and to our communities. And that's something that the American education system has strongly worked to remove from our lives. So, yeah, one of the biggest acts of revolution.
Yeah, man. It's like, it's almost like domestication in a way.
Very
It's
much
like
so.
they try to domesticate us from our organic nature of our authenticity and connection to nature. And like through that domestication, you know, they're able to enforce, you know, their own ideologies a lot stronger and have a stronger influence as well. And it is quite wild to think about like how much they are around the children. And it's super vital times, like literally from like, you know, 3 or 4 years old all the way until 18, basically. It's basically the biggest influence in the child's life is school.
Yeah.
And I just want to add to that now that you said that, like,
so wild.
I just want to add, like, now that you said that, like, you think about it from like 3 to about 18 years old, like Evan was saying, like, you were barely spending any time with your kids or anything like that whatsoever. It's all schooling. And then at 18, they're considered grown and supposed to go out into the world and work. What are they supposed to do? It's like if you don't go back to school for another 4 years for college or whatever, you're basically out there with your thumb up your butt. Like, what do I do? It's like, because for that whole 18 years, you didn't learn nothing in school that you need to survive in the real world.
Absolutely.
Dang, man. That's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
shadow world.
that's why a lot of us end up in jail, dude.
There.
I mean, I personally, I can say
They're
that I ended
programming
up
into the shadow world.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Like I was saying, that's why a lot of us end up in jail, dude. I ended up in jail not long after graduating, and it wasn't because of lack of talent or potential or anything like that. It was because the tools that I had to work with made it seem like selling weed was one of the most lucrative things that I could do. And I wasn't a fan of other means of making money because I didn't want to go into the medical system. I didn't want to go into politics. I didn't want to go into the military or any of this other stuff. I kind of, not saying I saw right through it, but my intuition was saying, like, I don't know about all that, and not exactly a fan of it. And it's easy to get in with, especially going to public school and stuff like that, man. It's very easy to get in with a bad crowd. And because you got all these people from all these different walks of life coming together, and there's a lot of backgrounds that are not the same as your background, and it's very intriguing sometimes to get lined in with people who are doing some sketchy kind of things, you know. And it's also very easy to be manipulated and be gullible, and to find yourself being roped into ways of thinking that you would have never been roped into if you were spending more time with your family at home and not in the school system, you know. So school has its advantages, don't get me wrong, but it has a lot of disadvantages too. And one of the bigger ones definitely being that parents don't get to be with their kids and have enough influence on their kids' lives as time is going on.
And then they made the world a place where you essentially need money to do anything or get anything. So then, you know, you're 15, 16 years old, what have you, when you see that 30-something-year-old man who graduated college and everything like that, working as a manager at McDonald's, making $600 a month. And then you see this guy over here, you know, driving around in the Benz and with thousands of dollars in his pocket, you know, getting whatever he wants whenever he wants it, and he's selling drugs. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, I mean, yeah, the right thing to do is to go get that job, but you know, I mean, that job ain't really gonna do nothing for me but make me miserable all day, every day. So, like,
exactly.
You know, if they would teach, you know, how to actually like give like finance classes or something like that on how to manage money or things like that, or like just anything like that. It's like we're in a world that's ran by bankers, but they don't teach you nothing about finances or banking in school, and then expect you to go out and work a 9 to 5 for pennies and make it through a chaotic world that we're in.
Yeah.
With no passion.
Well, that's one of the biggest reasons that addiction becomes so prevalent is because whenever I actually just went through a whole drug and alcohol class, so I'm an expert on this now. Not really, but it was group meetings is what it was, 1 hour a week. But thanks, Indiana. Apparently I'm a drug addict for consuming cannabis, but not bitter at all, I promise. But one of the things that I learned in this class, I'm grateful that I went through it because I did learn some stuff, especially when it comes to psychology about this kind of stuff. One of the things that people miss is purpose. If you don't have a purpose and you don't feel like you're contributing to the greater good of humanity, and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels and you're not getting anywhere, you're not getting your bills hardly paid, you're going to feel depressed and you're going to feel anxious and you're going to feel disconnected from like the entire world and from yourself. And it's whenever you start to search for having a purpose, whether it be through writing music that can help people or producing art or hosting retreats like Marcus is doing, or going out and pioneering like ways of regenerating our soil. And I keep going back to agriculture, but dude, golden, like healthy soil is gold. Truly, it really is. You can't eat gold, you can't eat oil, but you can eat healthy food that comes from the soil, right? So whenever you start to move with purpose, whenever you start to live in a way that not only serves you, but it serves the greater good for everyone and every other living organism, you start to realize that you do have a purpose and that you can make a change and that you have the power within you to actually benefit everything around you through what you do. And that's whenever you start to feel the depression go away. That's whenever you start to feel the anxiety go away. That's when you start to feel happiness and a sense of fulfillment, because you're starting to leave or live a life that one would say God intended for you to live, to be of service to you, your family, and future generations, and our waters, and our entire environment, you know? So without having purpose, it's very easy to seek validation and purpose through means of substance. And it's easy to give your power to a substance, especially alcohol or heroin or meth. A lot of people like meth because you feel productive as fuck when you do it. But the sad truth is you start a bunch of projects like 99 and you get about 45 halfway done, and then you're on to a new one. So it's not a very productive thing at all. But meth is bad, don't do it. But it's easy to try and find purpose in substances, and it's easy to try and find purpose in a whole bunch of places that you're not going to find it in, unless it means being of service to the greater good. So if there's anything that I can give advice-wise to anybody out there, even if it's just homeschooling your kid, or like, I mean, I'm finding a lot of purpose personally in teaching people music at Guitar Center through the week. Like that sets my fucking soul on fire, dude, because it's like I'm actually teaching people something that learning one chord on the guitar will change your life forever, because then you know how to play the guitar. You might not know how to play it well, but you know how to play it. So like that's something that automatically changes your life for the better as you go on, and it can be like a creative outlet whenever you start to go into the world. And music is something that's always going to be by your side no matter what. You can always hum, you can always tap your feet, you can always clap your hands, as long as you got your limbs anyway. Sorry to the people that don't. There's always some sort of music that you can make, right? And it's finding little things like that that can help you feel a sense of purpose, so that you don't have to go looking in substances for it, and so that you don't have to go looking for external validation for it. It's always within you, and you've got the purpose. It's just what you do with your energy and time that makes a big difference, right?
And even if you can't play an instrument, like me, for instance, like I don't play any instruments, but I use my voice as an instrument. But even if you couldn't sing, like you can write poetry, you can write a song or just write your feelings down on paper and send it to somebody like me who is a songwriter and turn it into a song. You know what I mean? And it just like there's so many things that you can find purpose in. It like I said, even if don't get sidetracked, say, oh, well, I can't play the guitar or I can't sing, or there's plenty of things that you can do that can help you to find purpose. I did a complete 180 in my life just simply by writing the album about everything that I was depressed about and getting it out and just releasing that energy. You know what I'm saying? And,
yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's alchemy right there. You know, that's the whole gist of like the Philosopher's Stone or anything like that, where you're taking a literal pile of shit and you're turning it into gold. And that's one of the best things that we can do with our struggles and troubles, is turn it into art and turn it into something that is beneficial to everybody else. It's like, hey, you're not alone in this, you know, like everybody goes through something, everybody has their struggles and their tough times, but it's what you do with them and how you come back from them. Like get knocked down, knocked down 8 times, get up 9, you know? So,
and it helps you to release all of that energy, so you're not holding it in, causing your body dis-ease. You know what I mean? You're like actually like releasing it out. You're not holding, because when you hold it in and you bottle it up like that, that's when depression gets severe to the point where suicides unfortunately happen and things like that. So, you know, just getting it out in any type of way you can, any type of creative way you can, just it helps a lot.
Yeah, it truly does.
Very important.
I was gonna say something, but it left me momentarily. If it's meant to come back, it'll come back. But
we do have about 15 minutes or so.
Cool. Right on. Yeah, and being able to realize that the struggles and troubles that we face in this life can be your teachers is a massive step forward in any way, shape, or form for anybody. I just released a song in February called Dragonfly, and it was actually about going back to jail last October. And it talks about how your life can be flipped upside down in a matter of moments. Like it only takes 1 second for your life to change completely, and then things are never the same again. And it's what you do with that. You can either be consumed by it and you can let it keep you depressed and keep you down, or you can choose to find gratitude in those situations, and you can choose to be like, okay, the sun's still shining. I got up today. I'm still fucking breathing. I can still walk. My heart's still beating. Birds are chirping. You know, life is still happening, even though things feel off. And I can be grateful for those. I can be grateful for the small things. And the more that you can be grateful for the small things, the more that you're able to take those big situations that are what I analogize. I create analogies between those big scary situations being this dragon that we're facing, right? Big old fire breathing, pants shitting, scary situation that we find ourselves facing. And you can turn these big situations into little bitty dragonflies or magical creatures that are pollinators that actually end up helping you and like helping pave your path. And that happens through being present and through like having gratitude in the situations and through realizing that even though life did knock you down, you can release that situation, you can get back up and keep going and use those situations to help other people through the situations that they're in. And I remembered what I was going to say before that. Whenever I went through Reiki training back in 2019, I learned, well, anybody that gets certified in energetic healing, you learn that our thoughts and our emotions and our experiences are stored in the body. They're stored in like our ligaments and our tendons and our muscle tissues. And whenever you are holding on to these things, whenever you're holding on to the situations or the memories or the feelings of what happened and you're not willing to let them go, they do stick with you. And some of them can even manifest into like tumors or skin conditions or like headaches or heartaches or breathing problems. Like just about any condition that's out there that can be food related can also be energy related whenever it comes to like the thoughts and the memories and the stuff that we harbor within our body, right? And one of the things that we learn in Reiki is that in order to heal anybody, we don't heal people, we help them heal themselves, is the best kept secret there. But you ask them if they're ready to release what made them sick in the first place. And if not, there ain't nothing you can do because they're not ready to heal. So in order to be able to heal, in order to get past your depression, in order to get past your anxiety, in order to get past any of the things that you face yourself, you have to be willing to give up what got you there. And that comes right back around to giving up beliefs that we were taught in church, giving up ideas that we were taught in school, learning new things, learning new skills, and letting that old programming of the self go. And whenever you do that, you're allowing space for new information and for a new way of being to come in that's more aligned with the new earth that we're trying to create collectively. So, yeah, whenever it comes to releasing stuff like that, music is fantastic. And then there's all sorts of other ways like primal screaming and like body tapping and exercise and all sorts of different ways of
even like comedy or like a bunch of different ways that you can do.
I fucking love comedy, dude. I love it. Yeah.
One of my biggest things that I say all the time, and my wife can attest to this, one of the biggest things that I say is that, you know, yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not promised. 90% of your depression is from yesterday. 90% of your anxiety is because of tomorrow. So live for today and, you know, be grateful of what you have today, and you can release so much of that negative energy because you know, if you're living for today, you're not depressed about yesterday. If you're living for today, you're not anxious about tomorrow. You know, just let those things go. Always remember that, you know, the belief systems that you have, they're not your belief systems. When you were born into this world, you knew nothing. Every belief system you had, somebody gave to you. So, you know, take the ones that are important to you to help you live a healthy life, keep those and get rid of the rest.
Absolutely, man. Well said. 100%. Yeah, like they said in Kung Fu Panda, yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, but the present is a gift, and that's why they call it the present.
Well said. Yeah, I like that. I like that way of saying it. I like that way of saying it. I didn't even watch Kung Fu Panda. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they went deep on that one.
Right. That was definitely deep right there.
I love that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's such a good quote.
It really is, man.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you guys for a wonderful episode on this this deep rabbit hole, man, of school indoctrination. Really appreciate you, brothers. Really appreciate you guys for coming on and talking about this tonight.
Appreciate you having us. It's always good to have these conversations, and I look forward to these podcasts whenever we do.
For truth, the revolution is now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Marcus still has a lag there.
With that being said, you guys can check us all out. Sacred Kingdom, QR code in the corner, as well as the link in the ticker and in the description. You can check out our link page. You can check out Evan's music as well as Cricket and all of my one-on-one healing services and retreats as well. If you guys have any questions, just reach out. We're always open in the building and continuing to form these bridges with community and continue to become more self-sustainable and share the knowledge and wisdom with each other. And, you know, it really is going to come to us. It's going to come down to what we do and what we do with our time and energy and these wonderful powers that we have with this divine energy. So stay mindful and just remember to reach out to your communities and take care of yourselves. A traveling world family-based alternative school. So it's a pretty cool idea. I hope it kind of inspires you guys, gives you guys some ideas about different ways that you can travel, as well as do alternative schooling with nature. And also keep in mind, you can research more. Take a look at places like Costa Rica and just look into the different alternatives out there, because there are many different ways that you can go about it. And one thing I know is that nature has the answers. And, you know, our children can learn from everyday living, and they don't need to be separated from living everyday life with us and being a part of everyday life and being able to understand and learn their nature and everyday life. But with that, I'll leave it right there. I'm going to close this out. So the next broadcast can broadcast at 9. And again, I thank you guys. You brothers have a good night. One love.
One love, man.
If you're a family seeking an alternative education and the adventure of a lifetime, imagine immersing yourselves in a stunning natural environment and learning through real life experiences with other like-minded families. What's up, unconventionalists? If you don't already know me, my name is Cassidy, and I am a world schooling mother of 2 young children. Recently, my family and I traveled to the Dominican Republic for 7 weeks so our kids could attend a world schooling hub, which inspired me to make this video because I've been getting a lot of questions over on Instagram and in real life from family and friends about what is a world schooling hub. In today's video, we're going to talk about a concept that has been gaining popularity within the realm of travel and education, and that is world schooling hubs. If you're a parent who is embracing alternative education for your family, or you're a traveler who loves embracing new cultures, then this video is for you. So let's dive in. First things first, let's define what a world schooling hub is. Essentially, a world schooling hub is a physical location where families can come together to learn, explore, and connect with other like-minded families. These hubs are located in different parts of the world, and they provide a unique opportunity for families to immerse themselves in different cultures, languages, and ways of life. So what are the benefits of world schooling hubs? They offer families the opportunity to provide a well-rounded education for their kids that goes beyond a traditional classroom setting. By exposing kids to different cultures, languages, and ways of life, they can develop a deeper understanding and appreciation for the world around them. Additionally, World Schooling Hubs can offer a sense of support and community for families who are always on the move. This can be especially helpful for digital nomad families or for families who are traveling full-time while still working remotely and need some daytime support while they get work done for their kids. Now let's take a look at some examples of World Schooling Hubs. On our most recent trip to the Dominican Republic, our kids attended the Human Hive. The Human Hive is a World Schooling Hub located in Cabrera on the northern coast of the Dominican Republic. The hub is designed to provide a unique educational experience for families who are interested in alternative forms of education, cultural immersion, and community living. The hub offers a range of programs and activities, including language classes, cultural workshops, outdoor adventures, and community projects. Children are encouraged to follow their interests and passions and learn through hands-on experiences and real-life situations. The goal of the Human Hive is to provide a holistic education that prepares children for the challenges of the 21st century. The Human Hive is located in a beautiful natural setting surrounded by mountains and the sea. To participate in the programs at the Human Hive, families must apply and be accepted. The Human Hive offers multiple sessions each year, ranging from 2 to 6 weeks for each program. If you're interested in participating in the Human Hive, I will leave a link in the description below, so be sure to check that out if the school looks like everything you've hoped and dreamed in an educational experience for your children. Overall, the Human Hive World Schooling Hub in the Dominican Republic offers a unique and enriching educational experience for families who are interested in world schooling and cultural immersion. There are also hubs in Luxor, Egypt, Bali, Indonesia, Sintra, Portugal, Cyprus, Greece, Tuscany, Italy, New Zealand, South Africa, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Costa Rica, Turkey, and so many more, as well as pop-up hubs being offered in new locations all the time. If you're interested in finding a World Schooling Hub, there are a few ways you can go about it. One easy way is to do a simple online search using keywords like World School Hubs or Family Travel Education. Another great option is to connect with other World Schooling families on social media. Don't forget to ask for their recommendations. You can also check out websites like purelypacha.com, which offer compiled lists of different hubs around the world. I'll be sure to link Purely Pacha below, so if you're interested in checking out that website, you can. But please be aware these websites that have compiled lists are not all inclusive. Please don't be discouraged if you don't see a destination on the list that you're hoping to world school in this year. You can simply search for your specific location and world school hubs or educational opportunities on Google, and hopefully something comes back. And if not, like I said, find some friends on Instagram. Instagram and social media as a whole can be a really positive place to connect with like-minded people and find the programs you're looking for. You can also find some Facebook groups for world schoolers online. There's several different ones. I haven't found any that I have found particularly useful yet, but I know a lot of people do their world schooling research via Facebook. I'm just not a big Facebooker. Surely check on Facebook for different world schooling groups. There's definitely like pop-up hub groups and whatnot. Lastly, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, where we share all about the world school hubs we discover, feedback on the ones we attend, and family travel tips and guides as a whole. So that's my brief overview about what a world schooling hub is. Whether you're a homeschooling family who has been doing this for years, or someone who's newly interested in what their options are for education and travel, a world schooling hub might be the perfect fit for you. That's it for today, Unconventionalists. Until next time, keep exploring life outside the box.